Happening now, President Biden plans to address the public today about the mass shooting in Buffalo. We go live with the details. And what a local teacher has to say about stopping future gun violence. Plus, details on what Jamestown City Council thinks about a petition against dangerous dogs.
Live and on demand, this is WNY News Now.
Hello and thank you for joining us for WNY News Now. I'm Bronson Rasmussen in for Justin Gould. The latest local news is coming up. But first, we have a special report out of Buffalo where President Joe Biden is slated to arrive today. And our Justin Gould joins us live from the community center where the president is expected to speak on the horrific events. Justin?
Yeah, good afternoon, Bronson. I'm actually here live at the scene along Jefferson Avenue in Buffalo, where on Saturday, 10 people were shot and killed during this horrific mass shooting. In fact, one of the most horrific mass shootings in the city of Buffalo history. President Joe Biden, along with his wife Jill Biden, arrived via Air Force One mid-morning today, and then their motorcade dispatched from the Buffalo International Airport to the scene here along Jefferson Avenue. The president was joined by New York Governor Kathy Hochul, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, as well as U.S. Senator Kirsten Gillibrand and other local elected officials to pay their respects to a number of memorials, and the largest memorial here along Laurel Street in the city of Buffalo. And it was a very solemn moment as the president reflected on the victims and the tributes that have really poured in here. Later today, the president is expected to speak, as you mentioned, Bronson, at a nearby community center, although all eyes still remain on an investigation now that likely could bring federal charges.
Newly obtained video of accused Buffalo grocery store gunman Peyton Grengen as he's taken into custody at the Tops Friendly Market store on Saturday. Authorities say he had his sights set on taking even more lives than he did.
So there was evidence that was uncovered that he had plans, had he gotten out of here, to continue his rampage and continue shooting people. He'd even spoken about possibly going to another store. He was going to get in his car and continue to drive down Jefferson Avenue and continue doing the same thing.
Unsettling new images of the alleged shooter's rifle show writing on the weapons, including the phrase "White Lives Matter" and what appears to be the name of a victim of a crime committed by a black suspect. There were also details on his obsession with mass killings.
If this gentleman came here to hopefully to divide our community, he did the complete opposite. We are united like we've never been before.
As investigators dig into Grengen's history, they're learning he visited the Buffalo area recently.
We found some things that show that he was here in early March. And then again, we know that he was here on Friday, basically doing a reconnaissance on the area.
Dark details uncovered reveal Grengen was visited last year by New York State Police after he turned in a high school project about murder-suicides.
He stated a facility. I'm not sure if it was a hospital or a mental health facility for a day and a half, but you know, where were the red flags for him to be able to purchase these guns legally?
And that suspect expected to be in court come Thursday. This investigation likely to take several weeks as they move forward with the process. District Attorney John Flynn here in Erie County said yesterday that there's only so much more he can release as this does eventually head to grand jury and more formal charges will be placed. As for the rest of the day today, President Biden and his wife, Dr. Jill Biden, as we mentioned, expected to speak at a nearby community center coming up at 1 o'clock. We'll, of course, continue to provide more live coverage of this on air and online at WNYNewsNow.com. But for now, reporting in Buffalo, Justin Gould, WNY News Now.
Justin, thank you. Now let's get a check of our first weather forecast with Chief Forecaster Dakota Hunter. How's it going, Dakota?
Happy Tuesday, everybody, and it's an overall nice day out there. This is a live look from the Chautauqua Lake Skycam, and you can see some of that blue water out there right now. And as we take a look at the almanac, hello there, folks. The almanac should be coming up right about now here. Well, I guess we'll skip past the satellite and radar composite, showing you a few of those clouds that are out there right now, and it's mainly going to be a sunny day out there. 58 was the high yesterday, started the day at 46, 87 and 26 are the records. So through the afternoon, partly to mostly sunny, a slight chance for an afternoon shower, but that chance is relatively small, but it will be windy with wind gusts around 35 miles an hour, 54 to 63 is the high temperature. Now we get into a few rain showers for the week. We will talk about that with that Ultimate Satellite Solutions 7-day forecast later on in the show. Bronson.
All right, Dakota, we'll see you then. Following the racially motivated mass shooting in Buffalo over the weekend, discussions about how to prevent these terrorist attacks in the future are back at the forefront of political agendas. Our Julia Gress has more.
Justin Hubbard, coordinator of the Jamestown Justice Coalition and history teacher, explained why white supremacist Peyton Gendron was motivated to kill 10 individuals.
This is an American issue. This is a world issue, but specifically in America, white supremacy, white nationalism is the number one terrorist threat in our country. The Department of Justice released that years ago. And this shooter followed the same theory that other mass shooters have followed, called replacement theory. This idea that the white people are systematically being replaced by empowered minorities and immigrants by political parties.
Hubbard says that relating the school's curriculum to these current topics is an easy way to integrate these lessons into the classroom, which gives students a broader perspective. However, the education system is run per state, not federally. Discussions like this would have to be approved from the top, which, as seen with Florida's Don't Say Gay bill, would not be passed in every state.
That is a way of maintaining people's privileges. It's not about parental rights or anything like that. That is about maintaining the status quo, keeping those in power, and that's what creates horrible situations like what we saw on Saturday.
He encourages teachers to show their students everything, even the ugly parts of American and world history, whether or not it makes people uncomfortable.
If you look into his manifesto at all that he released, he didn't come up with this idea originally. He took from different people's manifestos as well, that a lot of it was taken from the shooter in New Zealand that killed 50 Muslims. So yes, these attacks inspire more attacks. We know this.
Hubbard says the passing of common sense gun laws is one of the only ways the United States can stop the ever-increasing trend of mass shootings in America.
Also, just a change in our culture. We're having a lot of discussions nationwide about critical race theory, and if we should talk about racism in schools, and how Black Lives Matter is a terrorist organization, things like this. Those are all just attempts to make this conversation go away.
Being vigilant of even seemingly small events, like the vandalism of stolen statues in Jamestown's Dow Park, is important, says Hubbard, as it can eventually lead to a tragedy, as Buffalo just saw. Julia Gress, WNY News Now.
Julia, thank you. Less than a year before he opened fire and killed 10 people in a racist attack at a Buffalo, New York grocery store, 18-year-old Peyton Gendron was investigated for making a threatening statement at his high school. New York has a red flag law designed to keep firearms away from people who could harm themselves or others, but Gendron was still able to legally buy an AR-15 style rifle. The general threat at the high school last June, when he was 17, resulted in state police being called and a mental health evaluation at a hospital. New York Governor Kathy Hochul told media that Gendron had talked about murder and suicide when a teacher asked about his plans after school ended, and it was quickly reported. But the threat wasn't considered specific enough to do more. No request was made to remove any firearms from the subject, New York State Police said Monday. The revelations are raising new questions about why the law wasn't invoked and how the effectiveness of red flag laws passed in 19 states and the District of Columbia can differ based on how they're implemented. Typically, red flag laws, also known as extreme risk protection orders, are intended to temporarily remove guns from people with potentially violent behavior, usually up to a year. In many cases, family members or law enforcement must petition the court for an order. Though New York is a rare state in which educators can also start the process. This past weekend was a violent and deadly one for the U.S. There were reports of at least 4 isolated mass shootings that spanned from Orange County, California, to nearby Buffalo, New York, leaving around a dozen people dead. So how can the U.S. prevent another mass shooting? New York congressional members are urging their fellow congressmen to act on gun control legislation, but the chances of them actually moving forward with that look slim. New York Senator Kirsten Gillibrand said that she pledges to the people of New York that she will continue to fight her hardest to pass common sense gun safety measures and to confront and defeat the scourge of white supremacy following the Buffalo, New York shooting. She didn't elaborate as to what kind of common sense gun safety measures she is referring to, but online, Gillibrand advocates for stopping the illegal flow of guns into New York and across the country. Universal background checks for every gun sale, regardless of where it takes place. And she does not support a nationally concealed carry law. She says that kind of legislation would compromise public safety. Legislation is more often than not slow to move through Congress, even if it has bipartisan support, and on issues like gun control. That kind of legislation might be hard to pass. The Senate is essentially split 50-50, and moving anything out of the chamber requires at least 10 members to cross party lines. If members aren't able to move forward with gun control legislation, they might go on a different route. Speaker Nancy Pelosi says that they are looking into passing legislation that would give the FBI more teeth into investigating, monitoring, and prosecuting domestic terrorism. Political analysts also expect that within the upcoming elections, crime is going to be one of the top issues for voters. And with the recent shootings, gun control legislation could take center stage. As WNY News Now continues, the latest in a petition to deal with dangerous dogs in the city of Jamestown. And later, the most recent changes in this year's Memorial Day parade. Stay with us, as WNY News Now will be right back.
You're watching WNY News Now, your source for breaking news.
Welcome to Honest John's Pizzeria, where you are the most important customer.
Everything from freshly made subs to the best of pizza and wings, Honest John's has it all.
And don't forget the ice cream!
Order online today or check out our 2 great locations with buffets ready for every appetite.
Don't I have the best job in the world?
EagleZip.com is your local one-stop shop for all of your home and business computer needs. Located on Fluvanna Avenue Extension, just outside of Jamestown, EagleZip.com sells and services all brands of desktops and laptops, as well as servers and network equipment for your business. All new computer sales include transferring your data from your old computer plus a 2-year warranty. Call EagleZip.com today.
Stop by EagleZip.com today and let us make computers easy for you.
Chautauqua County is in dire need of child care providers, and we need your help. The Chautauqua Child Care Council is hosting several special webinars to help you enter the child care industry. Setting up a child care program is easier than you think. It could start in your home, caring for a few children, or grow into a large operation at a daycare Care Center. If financials are a challenge, no worries. The New York State Office of Children and Family Services is offering a grant opportunity to help you get started.
With coverage that matters, this is WNY News Now.
Lawmakers were addressed by concerned residents Monday night during their work session with concerns about local dogs running amok. Last week, Mary Williams started a petition to do something about the dangerous dogs who are frequently loose in their West Side area. During the City Council's Housing and Public Safety meetings, concerned residents spoke out about their fears associated with the animals.
Chasing kids and stuff on their porches, chased me. I was out shoveling one morning, and I went to go throw a shovel full of snow, and I just caught two dogs running towards me in the process, and I hurried and ran into my house because they were charging right at me.
I stepped outside to put some cans in the recyclables, and I came face to face with them, and I don't know how I got the screen door between me and them to this day. But I'll tell you what, I was scared to living death.
One local resident, Wanda McCotch, even started to break down in tears when thinking about what the dogs did to her cat.
On December 17th, those two dogs killed my cat. Literally shook it and spun it alive. And I couldn't get to it in time.
The dog's owners showed up to the meeting, acknowledging the problem, but also saying some of the allegations are way too exaggerated.
The only thing they're guilty of is getting loose. And yes, I accept it. I'm not arguing the fact that they need to be kept on a leash. I get it.
The City Council, along with Police Captain Robert Samuelson, noticed the concerns coming from residents and promised to follow up on the situation. 3 men were charged with criminal possession of a weapon Monday afternoon after reports of a menacing complaint. Jamestown police were advised of a menacing that occurred with a pistol on Grandin Street on the city's west side. Officers were told that the suspects, later identified as 22-year-old Carlos E. Rivera, 24-year-old Alejandro Ayala, and 20-year-old Abel Figueroa, all of Jamestown, pointed a pistol and operated a blue Chevy Cruze with a white stripe. Police located the vehicle on West 6th Street and Cherry Street. After pulling over the vehicle, officers recovered a loaded .38 caliber special revolver with its serial number being defaced. All 3 were charged with criminal possession of a weapon in the 3rd degree and criminal possession of a weapon in the 2nd degree. Rivera is also charged with aggravated unlicensed operation of a motor vehicle. Ayala was also charged with 2 counts of 2nd degree menacing and the endangerment of the welfare of a child. All 3 were taken into custody and transported to city jail and are awaiting arraignment. The loaded revolver is being sent to forensics to be examined for additional evidence. Lawmakers at Jamestown's Monday night work session discussed changes coming to the 2022 Memorial Day Parade. The parade, which hadn't been held since before the pandemic in 2019, was slated to make its return this year by lawmakers earlier in the month. The festivities, which is meant to remember those who lost their lives fighting for their country, normally takes Prendergast Avenue to Lakeview Cemetery and ending at the Soldier Circle. This year, however, the veterans group dedicated to hosting the parade have decided not to have the conclusion at the cemetery, but still have the parade go on. Instead of going down Prendergast Avenue like normal, the parade will go down Lakeview Avenue and conclude at the entrance of Lakeview Cemetery. City Council Public Safety Committee moved forward with preparing a resolution to hire new firefighters and police officers. The proposed hiring comes after a press conference held last week by city officials to pledge new investments to help improve public safety. The City Council Public Safety Committee brought up the topic to be passed on to the whole council, being approved by the committee.
Some of you may know we did have a press conference releasing this information last week that we were going to be adding a gun violence unit and a quality of life unit officer and 4 firefighters to help with the EMS calls.
I move we approve the resolution as prepared
I
for
second
3
it.
officers and 4 firefighters.
I second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved.
City Council members did have fears over budgets and tasks by the new hirees. Topics like that will be addressed in the full resolution and will be brought before the entire City Council at a later date. Coming up, what officials are doing to combat baby formula shortages. And later, today marks when PA voters can go to the polls. The changes coming up. But first, we return with a look at our full weather forecast when WNY News Now returns.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor.
Testicular cancer is the leading form of cancer in men aged 15 to 35.
1 in 250 men will be diagnosed with testicular cancer.
But 98% will survive if detected early.
As a survivor, I believe early detection is the key. Learn how to do a testicular self-exam and other important facts about testicular cancer at 1ball4tc.com.
Slow down, and move over. Move over.
When you see signs,
Lights, vests,
please give us some room.
slow down and move over.
When you need help,
It's our job
To help you.
to save you.
despite the danger.
This danger is real. Do your part.
Please
Slow down, and move over.
move over.
You're watching WNY News Now, your source for breaking news.
Fast, accurate, and everyday. First Defense Weather.
Well, welcome back, everybody. And did you look at the sky yesterday after those storms rolled through? Jan and Pomfret captured this picture of the sun going down. Man, that is just some good looking stuff right there. And of course, if you have any pictures or videos of the weather, you can send it to us on Facebook or Twitter by using that hashtag MyLocalWX. And talking about the rainfall totals yesterday, how about this? 1 inch of rainfall in Silver Creek, a little more than a ½ inch in Falconer, a little more than a ½ inch also in Mayville and Jamestown here as well. So again, that was some of the rainfall totals. And for today, we should be mainly dry. You can see the HD News Now cam, just a few of these puffy white clouds just back behind some of the buildings here downtown. 53 as a noon hour. It's breezy with a northwest wind of 17. We got a wind gust of 26. So it will be a little bit breezy today, but at least it's not too warm or not too cold, but it is below average. But speaking of warmth, the temperatures do go up through the week, but so does the humidity. This is the muggy meter. Look at where it's going. By Thursday, it starts to increase, and then by Friday, it really increases up into that muggy category, and then we will stay humid through at least the first half of the weekend. So yeah, it's going to be feeling like summer around here. We have this cold front that has shoved on through. So this cold front is actually shoving in some of that cooler air from the north and northwest. But we are going to see more rain showers returning as we go into the next couple of days. So the newest run of Future Scan painting the idea of maybe a couple isolated showers through the afternoon. We put the rain chances at about a 20 to 25% chance in area. So that means most everybody will not see a rain shower, and the rain will be very scattered and isolated in nature. Tonight will be partly to mainly clear, but as temperatures drop like a rock tonight, yeah, we could be dealing with inland frost. So if you have already started planning stuff, be aware of that. There could be some frost, especially across the inland valleys. We start tomorrow dry, but then rain showers return through the afternoon on Wednesday, and then we're ultimately going to see another chance of rain by the time we go into the end of the week. So 56 degrees at 2 o'clock. I did put the rain icon in there simply just because there could be an isolated shower, but most everybody should be dry. 56 47 at 5 o'clock, partly to mostly sunny. And then you should get out and take a look at the sunset, 53 degrees. Now the next 7 days powered by Ultimate Satellite Solutions. So there's our rain chance tomorrow up to 61. Just a scattered chance on Thursday, warmer, lower 70s. Look at the heat, Bronson, 84 on Friday. But man, it's going to feel warmer than that when you factor in the humidity. And then we're going to stay warm into Saturday. And that's ahead of the next cold front. We are watching, could be some strong storms on Saturday as well. We're watching that. And then we turn drier again for early next week.
All right, you gotta love a nice storm. Under fire from both parents and politicians, President Joe Biden's administration announced steps Monday to ease a nationwide shortage of baby formula, including reopening the largest domestic manufacturing plant and increasing imports from overseas. The FDA said it was streamlining its review process to make it easier for foreign manufacturers to begin shipping more formula into the U.S. FDA Commissioner Robert Califf said that the U.S. will prioritize companies that can provide the largest shipments and quickly show documentations that their formulas are safe and compatible with U.S. nutrition standards. The policy is structured as a temporary measure lasting only 6 months. The imports announcement came shortly after regulations said they reached a deal to allow Abbott Nutrition to restart its Sturgis, Michigan-based plant, which has been closed since February due to contamination issues. The company must overhaul its safety protocols and procedures before resuming production. If you're voting in Pennsylvania, the Republican primary today, 2 of the candidates for governor you'll see on the ballot are no longer running. State Senator Jake Corman and Melissa Hart both suspended their campaigns last week. However, they will still be on the ballot. If you voted for one of the two via mail-in or absentee ballot, unfortunately, you are unable to change your vote or request a new ballot if it's already been received. Polling locations opened at 7 a.m. and they close at 8 p.m. tonight. If you are in line by 8 p.m., you will still be able to cast your vote. If you still have not returned a mail-in or absentee ballot, the Department of State recommends dropping it off at your county board of elections in person or a drop box if your county offers one. Mail-in and absentee ballots must be received by election officials no later than 8 p.m. today. After the initial shock wears off, you are left with people in Buffalo community still grieving and beginning to move on with their lives with a new normal. One of the victims of the deadly shooting was a mother of a retired fire commissioner of Buffalo. Faith leaders of the Buffalo community say that this is an example of how close the community is. Local pastor Darius Prygen says healing begins today.
It's important to grieve. It's important to get out the feelings that you feel and the hurt that is felt. That's number one. But then when you talk about moving toward healing, I don't think that we'll ever heal totally. But to be better, it's going to take honesty on purpose and then on the back up.
It is really unfortunate, everything that's happening up there in Buffalo. Justin's up there right now trying to see what's going on, and from what I've heard, there's a lot of community members just out there. So hopefully this will be a thing that people can just band together.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, you know, I've shared on the show before that, you know, I lived up in Buffalo for about 4.5 years. And, you know, Buffalo really is the city of good neighbors because, you know, the city of Buffalo really bands together when something happens. And I mean, you know, we talk about this in the local community about how when something happens here locally, we see a lot of the community coming together and trying to support, you know, those. And, you know, I think it happens in Buffalo a lot more than I think people think. You know, and I think that this is just another example of that. I can speak for the big snowstorm that happened in 2014, November. That was my first year in Buffalo, speaking of which. And after that happened, you know, after the storm ended, everybody just got out there with shovels and snow blowers and just started helping each other, trying to get people dug out and trying to make sure that people had what they needed. So, you know, it's nice to see the community come together for things like this, but it's sad that sometimes it takes something like this to bring people together.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, remember that for us today, news continues 24/7 at WNYNewsNow.com and on our mobile app. Download it today free and in the Apple App Store and Google Play Store. And that's all the time that we have for today, but we'll leave you with a live look over Lakeside Park in Mayville.